It's Micah, the ADHD Stitcher, and I am here for another episode of FlossTube. This is going to be FlossTube number 8. Today is, sorry while I look at my phone, the 28th, it's Thursday night, the 28th of October, and not as quickly as I wanted to come back to you. If you are new here, this is my FlossTube channel, and that means it's all about cross stitch. And since I'm the ADHD Stitcher, we also talk about ADHD, especially this month since it's ADHD Awareness Month, which this is the last one, so you won't have to hear as much in a big block about it in the next few videos at least. But if you're new here, welcome. Thank you for coming and checking out our little fun hangout here. And to those who are returning, thank you very much for coming back and continuing to support me. Thank you to all the new subscribers that we've had since the last video. There's been several more over the last few weeks. We gained 100 more subscribers. We're over 300 now. I don't remember the exact number, but somewhere over 300. So thank you very much. One thing I'd really like to do is get up to that 1,000 subscriber mark, just because then I can do community posts and do live streams and some of those things that open up for you once you get to that 1,000 subscriber mark. So if you know of others that you think might enjoy this channel, please share it with them. And like I said, that's not because I have a specific number of subscribers I want. That's just because once you hit that 1,000 mark, you can do more things. So we can function better as a community, and I can communicate with everybody a little easier. Also, if you see another FlossTuber, if you see another FlossTuber shout me out on their channel, please let me know, because sometimes I'll see like some quick growth on, numbers of subscribers all at one time, and I get curious if, somebody had mentioned me or something, or how people found me. But because I always want to know if somebody does mention me so that I can thank them, and, spread the love and return the kindness. Sorry, let me pick up my thing I dropped. We need notes for me to stay on task. So if you like the video, please hit the like button. Comment, please. Your comments are always welcome. But one of the things that I would like to start doing is, answering some of your comments on here and things like that, if people have questions and all that kind of stuff. So, any questions you have, please post them so we can talk about them. So this week, I first want to do the ADHD Awareness Month portion. I wanted to talk about this week some ADHD myths and misconceptions, and in fact, I posted on Instagram a few days ago, asking for any comments that people had, about things, if they've heard them and wonder if they're true, or other ADHDers who have heard things that people have said to them or asked them about, and that, we would address them here, and some of these myths that I would talk about. Okay, I brightened up my light. I felt like it was fading on me. And thank you to LM907 and his Princess Kelly for your comments on that post. So I want to talk about the things that they mentioned, and then also a few other things. And on a lot of these, I'm going to cite articles and things that I've looked up about the specific issues. And some things I might tell you, there is this research, but I can't remember exactly where it was. If you really need it, I can probably find it. It's just a lot of times I've listened to podcasts or attended online things that I'll have to go back and find my notes and see who said what. But, it's always doable. So one of the first things was ADHD didn't exist when I was a kid and I managed fine. We hear that a lot these days. Number one, yes, it did. There just wasn't a name and treatment plan for it, or it wasn't well enough known that it was in your world. But it's existed. I would guess it's existed from almost the beginning of when brains existed. You know, I mean, it is what it is. I have thoughts about this. And I, again, this is not something that I have a research source for. This is my personal thoughts about this. I think that it just wasn't as obvious. Let's take my grandfather, for example, who he's no longer with us, but he was a kid in the 40s and 50s. Well, I guess he graduated high school probably in the early 50s. He had ADHD. Not that it was diagnosed or that he knew, but I firmly believe he had the inattentive type of ADHD. I've talked about before symptoms that I think help show that. But he would get very overwhelmed and very angry if all the little kids, when we were little bitty and we were all in the house, like if we were all jumping on a bed and being crazy. He did not like that at all. It was too much for him. And as we got older, we knew that when the house got loud, we could find him wherever everybody wasn't. So you could go and sit with him peacefully somewhere else. And he was a very loving man. He wasn't an unloving man. He just couldn't do it. So, and those are some classic kind of inattentive things. But if you think about when he grew up, during the Depression, on a farm in rural West Tennessee, in a teeny tiny town that today has like 300 people. His life moved at a much slower pace than our lives move today. People took time to sit on their front porch and watch. People took time to slowly do things. It wasn't, we got to go here and then we got to get off of work and then we got to go here and we got to pick up this kid and go to this place and then take this kid to this place. And then how do we pick up two kids from two different places at the same time when only one parent can go pick up? And then we got to go to this ball game and then we got to go home. We got to do homework and we got to somewhere in there eat supper and then we need showers and then we need bed in time for them to get enough sleep for the next day. It wasn't like that. It was a much slower pace. And yes, there were some organized sports and things, but it wasn't like it is now. You know, even with my daughter, my son is only involved in one sport at a time, and my daughter is only involved in the musical right now that they'll be performing soon, in the first half of November, and she has voice lessons once a week. But that is still keeping her really busy right now because she has long play practices every afternoon as they're getting closer and closer to the production. And then at the same time, her brother has started his basketball practice. We just finished soccer season, and now we're starting basketball. But, you know, life was so much slower that you would have had time to recuperate. It's kind of, this is a cliche, but, you know, how much you have in your cup, and, you know, if you don't put something in your cup, you're going to run empty. Like, one of the things is that you need time to recharge. So, for example, with my inattentive stuff, I'm combined type, which I've said before, but with my inattentive stuff, being with a lot of people is very, very draining. So if we go to some kind of big function, or like on Sundays when we've been to church, I need to come home afterwards and sit and do nothing. Just like play a video game, watch TV and stitch, something like that. quietly, calmly to re-energize and to charge myself back up. Which I'll get more into this next part here in a few, but it can take a lot out of you. So my personal thought is that it existed completely and fully. Society here in the US just wasn't running fast enough for it to be super obvious. Or they were just told to shut up and deal with it. It is what it is. That's how things were sometimes. I think it was easier for people to function because there weren't so many things going on. Or they didn't always, staring at a tablet or a device or whatever, things just move slower. So I think it was easier to mask it or to make up for it. Another thing that was said is they've got to have something to blame it on. Well, rude. Usually things happen for something has caused this other thing to happen. The law of causation. And this is how it works. So yeah, there is a reason. There's a reason for the way everybody acts about everything all the time. It's just either it's because of the way my brain is made, or it's because somebody was mean to me earlier today, so now I'm in a bad mood. You know what I mean? That's just whatever. But one thing to remember is that ADHD isn't in any neurodiversity and any mental health issue. That's not a character flaw. That's part of how your brain works. We'll go further into that in a few. Didn't you already take a nap today? Yes, I did. And now I need another one. I'm not a big napper because I don't do well after a nap. I can't take small naps. I have to take a big nap. And then a lot of times I'm out of it after the big nap. Or I have a headache or something. So I'm not a napper, but I'm also medicated. If you are someone who is untreated, you're gonna need some naps. I mean, there are a lot of women who just near their periods are gonna need a nap every day. That's just, our bodies go through fluctuations that are crazy. And while I'm talking about that, women, your hormone fluctuations throughout the month greatly affect your ADHD symptoms. There's lots of studies coming out about how symptoms drastically increase around the period. So that's something to keep an eye on too. But it's physically, literally hard for me to get out of bed. Not because I don't want to, but because I can't make my body move. I've always been like that. One new thing that I've just started trying out this week, and I'm going to keep doing it because I like the way it's working, is taking my medication, waking up, taking my medication, going back to bed for about 30 minutes while it kicks in. Then I'm much more alert. It's much easier for me to start trying to get going. Because if I just get straight up and take my medicine and then come sit and do whatever, I'm going to get stuck just sitting and doing whatever. Because I can't get going first thing. My body, myself just won't do it. And add to that, treated or not, but even worse if you're untreated, ADHD is exhausting. It's exhausting. Your brain is always going. Whether you're sitting still or running all over the place, you're going to be mentally exhausted, and sometimes you need a nap to help with that. If it's not just from our brain's general function, it's from masking. We mask. We try to look like we don't have these issues. We try to be normal. So I was telling my husband earlier, my daughter likes to ask a lot, is it normal if... I said, I'm going to start telling her, there is no normal. Normal is a construct. It's not a thing. Nobody is normal. Nobody is normal. Everybody's got their stuff. Everybody's weird in some way. So another one was that ADHD medication is just speed. Okay. So, no. Short answer, no. If you don't want to stick around for the long answer, skip, because I'm about to talk about this. First of all, not all ADHD medication is stimulant. There are stimulant and non-stimulant medications, and different ones work for different people. And further into that is that sorry, I was trying to find the right thing. There are different types of stimulants, and I don't mean different drugs. Yeah, there are lots of different names and they're different. There are two big categories within the stimulants. There are ones that are called methylphenidates, and that's things like Ritalin and stuff like that. Those are methylphenidates. And then you have amphetamines, like Adderall and some of those other drugs. Now, you hear the word amphetamine, and you think methamphetamine. They're not the same. They are both stimulants, and they are both amphetamines, but they're not the same. For one thing, Adderall or any stimulant, when taken correctly as prescribed by a doctor, isn't dangerous. Research and studies show that people with ADHD who actually have ADHD, who take things like Adderall, do not get addicted when they take it correctly as prescribed and in the doses that are prescribed for people. Another thing to consider is, there are a lot of people who abuse Adderall. But when your body doesn't need this thing, then you're going to have an overreaction to it. My body needs the stimulant to get my brain to work correctly. The research shows that people who are not treated for ADHD are 80% more likely to become addicts because they end up self-medicating. So it's safer to be on a stimulant being treated than to not, if stimulants work for you in that scenario of they're not the same. One of the things, let me see if I can find it. Sorry, I have a thing here that talked about how it worked. Where did it go? Okay, so this is an excerpt from an article on AttitudeMagazine.com. Will ADHD stimulant medication make me antsy? The term stimulant is misleading. Stimulant medications like methylphenidate and amphetamine do make people without ADHD more alert and awake. They stimulate activity in the frontal regions of the brain. The reason they don't make hyperactive adults more restless is that these parts of the brain are underactive in people with ADHD. There is not enough norepinephrine and dopamine to send signals between neurons to stimulate the mind to pay attention or sit still. So the frontal regions of our brain are not producing the chemicals we need to do these things. So instead of making us more hyperactive or more speed, like jittery, whatever, they just get our brains to produce what we need to function as a human. It's just like a type 1 diabetic kid. Am I going to take her pump off of her? Tell her you don't need this insulin? No. Why? Because her body doesn't produce things in the correct way. So she needs help. medically to fix that. It's the exact same thing. It's just in my brain. Why is that different? It shouldn't be. That's the stigma. If it has to do with your brain, then all of a sudden there's this stigma around it. Well, guess what? Your brain's part of your body. So it's all your body. It's okay. If you're holding on to something and not taking a medication that a doctor has told you could possibly help you because of that stigma, let it go. It's not worth it. It's just not. I'm in a time right now where I don't think I have my medication correct at the moment, and got an appointment scheduled with a clinical psychiatrist to work on that soon. But when I was first diagnosed and first began taking Adderall, it was like somebody flipped the switch and my brain worked all of a sudden. It's amazing. Okay. Sorry, let me bring it back in. Let's see. Okay, some more things that were said. A person forgets a few things and thinks it's because they have ADD. It's just like me saying I have to have something arranged in a certain way because I have OCD. I don't have OCD. That's not something I've been diagnosed with. And yeah, with ADD and ADHD, sometimes people self-diagnose and don't go get diagnosed. Really, you should, just because, if for nothing else, to help research numbers reflect things correctly. To make resources available to people who need them. But, that goes hand in hand with everybody's a little ADD. No. Certain things that are symptoms of ADHD can happen to everyone at different times. Yes, everyone forgets things sometimes. Everyone gets distracted sometimes. That doesn't mean you have ADD. It's not the same. ADD is just a crutch so you don't have to get stuff done on time. Oh, that's why I can't get stuff done on time sometimes. But also, we do have to learn how to work alongside our ADHD. We do have to learn the tools. It can't all be on the meds. Pills don't build skills is one of the things that you hear a lot of people say. You have to work at learning how to work with yourself. But, no. My husband understands sometimes there's going to be times I just can't do the thing I'm supposed to do. He knows that sometimes it's not going to happen. But that doesn't mean I don't try. It doesn't mean I give up. But it's not an excuse to just sit around and be lazy. Which is the next thing. People with ADD are lazy and stupid. No. This I'm going to read from an article on healthline.com. It's a short part, so I'll just read the whole thing. Many of my patients with ADHD explain that they are often accused of being lazy, which leaves them feeling guilty for not being as productive and motivated as others expect them to be. Folks with ADHD tend to need more structure and reminders to get things done, especially activities that require sustained mental effort. But because symptoms of ADHD may manifest as disinterest, disorganization, and a lack of motivation unless it's related to an activity they truly enjoy, this may be mistaken for laziness. However, the reality is that people with ADHD truly want to succeed, but may struggle to initiate and complete what others may consider simple tasks. Even sorting through mail or answering an email can be daunting because it requires a lot more sustained mental energy for someone with this condition. This myth can be especially harmful as these judgments can leave people with a sense of failure, which can progress to poor self-esteem and lacking confidence to pursue ventures in life. So, yeah, no, we're not lazy. Sometimes it just takes too much, and we don't have it in the tank. I mean, it's that simple. Another myth I wanted to talk about was girls don't get ADHD, which we've mentioned on here many times. Which Bobby the primitive, Pumpkin Creek Primitives, there we go. We're talking in the comments last time about this, that if you had good grades or if you were a girl, you couldn't have ADHD. No. It's just girls look so different that, like I talked about in the last video, the symptoms in girls, because we look so different sometimes that people didn't know what to look for, so it was missed. As far as the good grades thing goes, that just means that person learned how to work around it. There are lots of workarounds that I figured out in school that I didn't realize were workarounds I had figured out. Things like writing papers. I loved English. My English class, my freshman year of college, was an honors class where all we did the whole semester was write papers. And I loved it. But that's because I had figured out a system for writing papers. I didn't just sit down and write. I took a note card and I put a sentence on a note card. And then I figured out how they needed to be ordered together to make it flow. Because I knew I was going to move stuff around 1,500 times, so I didn't want to write it out or type it out and then have to change it around that much. It was too much. So I put every sentence on a note card, and then I could shuffle it around the way I wanted. You know, I figured out workarounds. But there's a YouTuber called How to ADHD, Jessica McCabe, and she has talked about when she was diagnosed. I think she was around 12. She's very smart. She's what we call 2E, twice exceptional, in that she is highly intelligent and has ADHD. When she was diagnosed, they went to like their family doctor, and he was like, "No, she doesn't. No, she's too smart. She can't have it." Well, then they had to go find a new doctor. Like that's no. It doesn't mean you're horrible in school, and we can't base all treatment based off of how you're doing in school, because that's not even the important part when it comes to something like ADHD. It's what's going on in here. And in girls, that's the hard part, is that we can't see what's going on in here a lot of times until it gets to the point of anxiety and depression and crisis mode. So, learning those early symptoms is one of those things that we have to do a better job of. Let's see. Poor parenting causes ADHD? No. That kid doesn't need medication. He just needs a spanking. No. And in fact, with an ADHD kid, that's going to make it worse, not better. No. But, I mean, my son is not a big troublemaker, and again, he's not diagnosed, but, you know, that whole impulse control thing. Pours a bunch of water in a trash can that had just been emptied. Why did you do this? I don't know. Okay. Impulse control is one of those ADHD issues. They just do things without thinking about it first. We just do things without thinking about it first. That's part of it. But really, I've been talking about this for a very long time. So I'll definitely have to put chapters in the video, because some people won't want to listen this long. But, so those are some of the myths about ADHD. It's very important to correct them, to know the truth about things, because it's very harmful to spread the myths and continue them. It hurts people. It leaves people keeps people from getting treatment, which can end up in suicides or drug addiction, whatever way they can figure out to cope. So, I want to thank you all for letting me, it's my channel, I do what I want, but Thank you for, being willing to learn more about ADHD, even though we're here for the stitching. So I will definitely put chapters in here so that we can break this up a little bit and people won't have to listen to all of that if they get tired. So a quick life update. We are I had my root canal a week ago. I finally felt up to doing my floss tube. Immediately there was a lot of relief. The shooting pain up my jaw and down my neck and causing the headache and all that was gone. And if my teeth touched, I didn't want to scream. But I'm a slow healer, so it's taken me a while to get to where I felt like doing stuff or felt like I could talk a lot. And, it's still a little tender. I still can't, chew on it or anything, and I don't have the crown yet that I need, but we'll get there after the new year. But so we're finally doing a lot better in that regard, for the moment at least. But that's what held me off from doing my video earlier, is I wasn't feeling good. So we have, just been trucking along. Oh, okay. So this is unrelated, but, I've mentioned before playing video games. I love video games. I haven't played a lot lately because I've been hyper-focusing and fixated on cross-stitch. That's another ADHD thing, is hyper-fixations, hyper-focuses. But I love to play video games. And now that I've been hyper-focused on this for so long, I'm starting to say, okay, there's room for something else now. Don't get me wrong, this is still going to be happening daily. But I'm ready to get back into my games a little bit. And Animal Crossing New Horizons is about to get a giant update that I'm so excited for. All these things that people have been begging for, they're going to give us. But it's going to be the last big free update for this game. Other than maintenance stuff and maybe adding a little something here and there. But it's huge. And they're also releasing downloadable content, DLC. And it's Happy Home Paradise. So it's like the Happy Homemaker or whatever it was called before. This is the first Animal Crossing game I've played, so I don't know all the old games. But on this, you're going to design houses for certain villagers out on this little archipelago of islands that you have. But anyway, I say all that to say, if you are an Animal Crossing player, I meant to write it down and I forgot, but I'm going to go get my code, my friend code for my Switch, and I will put it in the box below. And if any of you play Animal Crossing or are going to be getting back into it with this update like me, because I haven't played it in months, let's hang out. Let's play together. Let's see what else. Oh, there's an app. I have an iPhone. I don't have an iPad or a big I don't have a tablet at all. My kids have small, cheaper Amazon tablets. But we don't have any big tablets or anything. So I always just use paper and highlighter for patterns. But doing the Nightmare Before Christmas SAL, it's real easy to just snap a picture of the pattern. And I was wanting to be able to mark it because I can't keep track, ADHD. I have to be able to mark it off or I'm not going to know where I am. But there's an app called Markup R-XP. And you can take your picture. I can't show you because I'm recording on my phone. But you can take that picture and import it into that app. And it will find the grid. And then you can line the grid up if it's a little off. And then you can use a little virtual highlighter to highlight off what you've done. It's awesome. I love that thing. I'll be using it for sure. I think that. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about also something I get to do tomorrow night. Well, tonight by the time you watch this. Friday night, the 29th. I got into the Dark October seance with the Dark October stitching seance, hosted by the Cozy Egg and Emily C. And I'm excited. That's going to be fun. Do some stitching, and Michelle from Cozy Egg sent out a couple of little patterns that she worked up for the night. So that'll be fun. Hang out and stitch with some people. Get all spooky. So I'll be able to tell you all about that the next time we're back. Okay, so let's get into some stitching. First, I want to show you an FFO that I meant to show you earlier and completely forgot. When we were getting ready to go to the beach, I'd asked Reagan if she wanted me to find her a hat, because she didn't have one that would fit her anymore. And she wanted a cap, and because I have a cap that has a monogram on it. And she was like, yeah, I want one like with my name on it like yours. Well, I saw this hat. They said, good vibes only. It was she loves tie-dye, she loves all those colors. And I was like, well, she needs this one. And I told her if she wanted her name on it, I could stitch her name on it. And she did. So here is what I did. The way I did that, I don't even think I used a alphabet that I had anywhere. I just did it. I think I did it on a sheet of graph paper and made sure that it worked. But I didn't have any waste canvas. You can buy at craft stores waste canvas that's like a really loose Aida cloth that you can stitch on things that aren't Aida. Like if I wanted to stitch on the shirt. Oh yeah, by the way, sorry. Let me see if I can show you. If I can get up. My goodness. It's a Jack Skellington Nightmare Before Christmas shirt. I love this shirt. My husband got it for me one year for Christmas. Anyway, so you can stitch on things and then just rip off the waste canvas. I didn't have any, and I didn't have time to go to the store before I was going to do this. So what I did was I took an old scrap of Aida and just pulled out strands from each section until it was thin enough that I knew I'd be able to pull them out after I stitched. And so I just did that and just stitched on that. And it worked out really well. She really likes it. I was pretty proud of myself. That's my only FFO. I also have a finish that is also a bit of an announcement. Something exciting. I wanted to get this done earlier, but I was hitting a block with it. And with ADHD and these blocks, you can't fight it too much. You just got to go when you can finally go. And I had wanted to design something for ADHD Awareness Month. Sorry. If you don't know, the symbol for neurodiversity is a rainbow infinity symbol. And I wanted to create some kind of little chart. And I did. And I stitched it. I don't have the chart ready yet, but I'm going to give it away as a freebie. Designing is something I'm starting to dip my toe into. But I wanted to give this one away as a freebie. And I'm going to create an alternate version. I'll show you. Okay, so I did, don't mind the jaggedy edges. I'll show you, it's fine. But, so, here we are. We have the rainbow infinity, and here we have a needle. So, because it's for the neurodivergent needle nerds. And the alternate version I'm going to do is going to not have the needle there, and we'll have more of a fade from this purpley pink to a more pinky pink into the red. My daughter wants one for herself too, without the needle, because she doesn't stitch yet. I'm going to keep trying to get her to. I told her I thought she'd really enjoy it. She agreed to try again. It's been a few years since she tried. I think she's more coordinated now to be able to do it. But the way, so that chart will be coming soon. I have it charted, of course, which is how I did this, but some things got switched up a little bit as I stitched this, and the needle was a bit of an experiment because I wanted it to actually, I did a lot of half stitches because it didn't look like an actual needle when it was the, you know, kind of stepped from the full crosses. So I've got to do some work on fixing the chart and then get it formatted with the symbols and everything. And then I will share it. I'll probably, maybe I'd put it like in a Google Doc or something, and share the link on the next video. And I'll share it on Instagram and all that too. No, we'll figure it out. But so that's going to be coming hopefully this week. I'll get that all situated and out, and I'll send out, I'll put both versions on there, the version with the needle and the version without, you know, in case there's someone that you love who doesn't stitch that you would like to stitch the symbol for. And my plans for this, which is why it doesn't matter that it's so small, is it's going to go in this guy. I'll put it on sticky board and stick it in here. And then hang it up, I don't know, back there somewhere. Okay, so now let's move to whips. The infinity symbol is the only new start, I think. I can't remember for sure now. I think that was the only new start. Alright, so let's start with Halloween at Hollyberry Farm from Stacy, Nash Primitives. I'm sorry this is not the best picture, but it's what I got. Which, again, let me show it off for Bobby from Pumpkin Creek Primitives. I love this. Isn't that cute? I got that floss ring from her. And I got some of these flosses from her too. And I think I ordered that pattern from her. Yeah, I did. I remember stuff sometimes. So last time I showed you that I'd gotten the borders to the edges. I've also added, this time I worked on these guys, these dudes, whatever they are, and some of the letters. So I didn't do a ton, but I mean, that is a lot of stitching on these little guys. There's a lot of them. So that's where we are on that right now. I haven't gotten a lot done on it. I really want to put some more time in on this, but after probably tomorrow night, I've got to start working on Christmas gifts. Well, as soon as the stuff comes in, I've got to start working on Christmas gifts and to order some floss for some Christmas gifts that I'm going to be working on. But I've got to get started on that stuff so that I don't need to be too behind. I don't get stressed. I have to start making photo books. We do that every year for the grandparents. We make them photo books of like the past year. And I want to get that done soon, as soon as possible, so that we can get them ordered quickly, so that we're not dealing with shipping issues. And then also, like last year, we ended up not getting it until after we'd had most of the Christmas parties. So, sorry. Alright, the next thing I'm going to show you, and I so didn't say it, but on Halloween at Hollyberry Farm, I am mostly using called for flosses. So I subbed out some that I couldn't find. I subbed out Fragrant Cloves for pumpkin pie because I can't find it anywhere. I did Piney Woods instead of Picnic Basket. And then instead of, I always forget which one it was. Instead of Parchment, I did Shaker White, just because that's, I don't know if Parchment's hard to find right now, but this is what I was able to find when I was looking for stuff. And then the fabric, this fabric is a 36 count linen from, it's called John Proctor 1692 from E-Design. And no, I'm sorry, I don't know where to find it. I found it on a random Etsy shop that this was the only piece they had. So I don't know anything about E-Design. Sorry. And the next one I'm going to show you is, there's not a lot of work done on it, but it is the Nightmare Before Christmas stitch along from Story Stitches. And so what I got done was the scary duck toy, and I did whichever one she is. I always forget which is which. Is she Shock? I think she's Shock. And then I started Oogie Boogie's face. I didn't get him done. But so that's all I've gotten done on that since I last showed you. Not a ton, but it's some. And look, as I've said, Nightmare Before Christmas season is September through January, beginning of January. So I have plenty of time. Next, oh yes, and that's one of my bags that I got from Stitch in Peace. That's what it's called, Stitch in Peace. I always go to say it and then forget what it is. All right, the next whip I have is the Haunted House Sampler from Twin Peak Primitives. And I'm doing the stitch along that started on October 13th with Emily C. and Cozy Egg. It's the hashtag Haunted House Sampler SAL, part of Dark October Stitching. And here is where I am currently. So last time, I don't remember exactly where it was. I don't know if I had this doorway area filled in or not. I know I did at least part of one of these leaves. And then I finished the word Halloween and filled in all that black. That was mostly what I'd worked on, is that black. And the reason I wanted to get it done was because I used, it's hard to tell here, but I used the Gentle Art sampler thread or floss or whatever, Raven, and I used Raven in Halloween at Hollyberry Farm, and then I also was thinking about using Raven for Black Sampler November, but I found out you can't get Raven anywhere right now. So I may have backed myself into a corner when it comes to Halloween at Hollyberry Farm. So what I'm going to try to do with the Raven that I still have is just be mindful of what areas I stitch with it right now as I go forward on Halloween at Hollyberry Farm. Like, make sure that I do a lot of the smaller things so that whenever it does become available again and I need more, if what I have doesn't stretch far enough, it won't matter too much if it's a different dye lot, because it won't be connected. It'll be a different part. But yeah, I really wanted to use, and I hate that you can't see it as well in this video. Maybe you can kind of see it. But I love the variegation of Raven. It's really pretty. I've learned I really, really, really prefer the Gentle Art threads that have the greater variegation in them compared, like, when it comes to hand dyed. I really like that variegation that they have a lot. I did use, so this is a variegated from, it's Wisconsin Woods from Classic Color Works. I think so. And you can see some of the variegation in the leaves. And then I used just the DMC for the stems, but for the leaves, I was using embers. That is embers. But I don't think you can see the variegation enough. And it's too close to the color of the DMC. And this is the color of DMC that those leaves are called for. I hate to waste the ember, but I just don't like the way it looks. I'd prefer the differentiation of this. So I might frog the leaves that are in redo it in that. Sometimes I can frog very carefully and save the thread. It just depends on how it does as it's pulled out. So we'll see what happens. And this is, I don't even know. I don't think I've even made a project card for this. I need to make one, but I started it October 13th. That I can remember. I'm using a variety of the DMC, called for DMC, and then some different classic Colorworks and Gast. A little bit of whatever. It's a hodgepodge. And this fabric is a 32 count. Sorry, I was trying to see if I could find the package for it. I don't see it. It's a 32 count Lugana. I think it's called Stormy Clouds. I think. I got it from Flossin. No, I didn't get it from Flossin Fibers. I got it from Mad for Minders. That's where I got it. When I ordered my needle minders, I found it there. Then my last whip, Nene. Every time I hear somebody say whip, I just think Nene. Sorry. My last whip is my Mill Hill Buttons and Beads kit, Midnight Glow. I wanted to have this done by Halloween, so I could, well, plenty before Halloween, so I could have it up in my display. Yeah. I'm going to try to finish it out quickly, though, if I can. This is where I am currently. So I've gotten a whole lot done. Because, I mean, this is a little full coverage piece. I've gotten a whole lot done. There's not just a ridiculous amount of stitching left to do. I mean, obviously there's stuff that goes around here and up here. But those are more, that's a lot of straight lines and blocks of color that'll go fast. But I've never done beads before, so we'll see what happens. We'll see how well that goes. But yeah, so that's where we are. I love this. It's a little kitty cat peeking in the window. He just doesn't have his eyes yet. And I wanted to show how I'm organizing my floss for that, because when you get a Mill Hill kit, let's see, here's one right here. That's how you get your floss. It's all kind of neatly wadded up in there together. It's not separated. You have a list in there of what the colors are, and you just have to separate it out. Now, for me, since I have, I don't even know where I put it. Since I have the DMC color card that has the actual floss in it, I can compare it to that to help figure out what color is what. And that was helpful in this because some of these are so super similar, it would have been hard to figure out which one is light gray and which one is very light gray. But what I did was I made my own little floss card out of cardstock, and I punched holes in it, and then I drew the symbols from the chart on the card where I stuck the floss. That way I don't even have to look. And one thing that I would do, so I really would never have to look, is write the number of threads that you use of that color. Because, for instance, like this orange, it's really light, so you use 3 strands. But on some of the ones that are in that yellow was super light, so you used 3 strands of that. But so next time I would write the number above it, but the number of threads you use. But I wrote the symbols and then just put each color below that symbol. And then I don't even have to look if I need to change colors. I can just, not that it's that hard to look, but just the way I have it set up, it doesn't matter. But so, that has helped me keep all that situated really well, so I don't have to sort that out too much. So yeah, that's where I am on my whips. And let's see. So then now we have haul, which is a teeny tiny amount, but it's a little bit. Okay, so I had ordered from Lindy Stitches, and I got the Raven's Needlebook. I'm super excited about this. It's a kit that she did for Galleria. And then she wasn't able to go, so she's had them in her shop. And it's a full kit that's got all the stuff you need to make it. And I did the kit that also came with a little pair of scissors. They're cute. Little black heart scissors. And here's what the inside of the needle book. That's the inside of it. And there's the back of it. It was super cute. I've never made a needle book. But shiny things. I like shiny things. I get distracted by all the shiny things. So I wanted it. And then of course I got a cute little freebie with it. And this, I love this. It's a sticker to put on the back of a project after you've FFO'd it, so you can remember what it is and who it's by and all that good stuff. So I got that in. Yay. And then, oh, this actually I got a while back and I forgot to show y'all. And actually I just realized I still have one on my finger. I forgot to take it off. Look. You see? That is a thimble it. I got these at Hobby Lobby. They were $6.49 for a pack of 64, and sometimes you can reuse them. Like one day I did a little bit of stitching and I had to go do something, so I just took the thimble thingy off and stuck it on the back of my phone case, and a few hours later I was able to reuse it again. It just depends on, you know, each one. But yeah, so because I like to, when I can, I do like to use the sewing method, especially on a big block of color, because it's just faster for me. My stitches don't always look as nice when I do that. But you know, and then sometimes too, like when I was working on the infinity symbol, when I was working on the needle and doing all those little half stitches, because I'm doing it on Ada, I used a sharper embroidery needle, and I stabbed the snot out of myself with those, so this helps a lot. But yeah, so then my finger doesn't get as sore. Yay! So I like that. Then the other thing I got, which is part of plans as well, is I mentioned earlier Black Sampler November. If you haven't heard of that, it's something that Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery came up with. He has some beautiful, beautiful black samplers, and I really wanted to get one of his to do, but I know I don't have time for a big sampler added into what I've got going. I don't need anything else really big that I'm gonna, you know, that's kind of time sensitive, because I'm gonna be working on all this Christmas stuff. So I wanted to find something smaller to do, and then I saw on Lindy Stitches Stephanie, I saw on Stephanie's FlossTube that she was going to be designing one. And I said, well, I'm probably going to like whatever that is. So, and I did. I loved it. So this is a PDF that I got from her. This is called Death is a Dialogue. And it's a quote from Emily Dickinson from one of her poems. It says, "Death is a dialogue between the spirit and the dust. Dissolve, says death, the spirit. Sir, I have another trust. Death doubts it, argues from the ground. The spirit turns away. Just laying off for evidence an overcoat of clay." And it's like a band sampler. Hence the bands. And I loved what she put on the back of the sampler. She said, "This poem by Emily Dickinson is a perfect summary of 1 Corinthians 15:53 through 55. For this perishable body must put on the imperishable, and this mortal body must put on immortality. When the perishable puts on the imperishable, and the mortal puts on immortality, then shall come to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting?" And she created it in honor of a friend of hers that had recently passed away. And this was a poem that gave her hope during that time. And I love the scripture that she referenced, and I really like this verse from this poem as well. So yeah, I'm excited to start on that. I don't know what fabric I'm using yet. Something I already have. And then I will, I have ordered some stuff from Fat Quarter Shop. So I think it's Classic Colorworks Black Coffee, maybe? I don't know for sure. Some variegated black I ordered. And so I'm going to most likely use that for this when it gets here. I will start this on November 1st. It's hashtag Black Sampler November. And Jacob talks about it in his FlossTube a couple episodes back, whenever it was. You know, that's a tradition of having these all black samplers, and that, you know, they can be super, super beautiful, and they really, really are. So yeah, we'll be participating in that. So my plans, I'll continue my Dark October stitching for sure, at least through tomorrow, because the Dark October seance will be happening, so we're gonna be stitching dark things for that. And then I will be swiftly changing over, which my order from Fat Quarter Shop also has floss for some Christmas gift stitching. So when that gets in, I will probably get started on Christmas stuff to get it knocked out. So that's my plan-ish is. I'm also going to do, I'll do another infinity symbol for my daughter without the needle in it. And I do have another one of those little boards or hanging, whatever they are. So I'm going to make one for her too, because she really liked it and wants to put one in her room as well. But then it'll be, unfortunately, I'll have to put these two samplers that I love away for a little while, while I work on this other stuff. But, you know, I'm not the kind of person that likes to make rules about a hobby. Like, I'll never do, well, shouldn't say never. I have no plans to ever do something like Whip Go or any of these big games, because of the way I function is so based on feeling and interest. ADHD again. Woohoo! I have to be interested in something to do it, or it's going to feel like work. That's not what this is about. This is about fun and enjoying it, being inspired. So it's going to be whatever I'm feeling inspired to work on at the moment, really. So, you know, I tell you these plans, but they mean nothing. I wanted to mention a newer floss tuber, Triple M Stitching. I'd heard the Bougie Stitchers talk about her, and I've been enjoying watching her videos. And then the Bougie Stitchers, if you haven't watched them, you really should go. I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I'd commented on their last video that, most of the time I forget to comment on their videos, but I watch them all as soon as I can, and that I love them, that I know I'm gonna laugh when I watch them. And they commented back that they watch my videos. It made my day, my week. But so I think that's about it. I've got that the Dark October seance tomorrow night. Saturday we have a gathering at church for one of our members, the man that used to be the preacher here. He still lives here. He just retired here and stayed here. He's turning 90, so we're having a big party for him, and I'm actually making the big sheet cake for that. And then that night, Saturday night, we have our trunk or treat at church. Justin and I are not dressing up this year. I love to dress up. Usually I have some big thing planned. I'll try this week to see if I can dig up some of our old Halloween pictures for you. There's a really funny one the year that Harrison was born, where Justin and Reagan and I are all pirates, and Harrison is a little baby parrot. It's the cutest thing. But this year I haven't had the brain space to even think about all that. I barely got the kids' stuff together and ordered in time. Reagan's costume ended up being kind of pieced together with a lot of stuff that we had. So, but but we'll have trunk or treat. And next week, I don't really know. Just the normal running everybody around everywhere as we get closer, especially as we get closer and closer to the play. We'll have more stuff coming up soon. Dress rehearsals and tech rehearsals and all that fun stuff. So, normal busy times. But I hope that you all have a great week and that you're doing some stitching that you enjoy. And I guess that's it. So I'll talk to you next time. Bye.